Hi, my name is Mark Monlux, and you're watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. Feel free to join us. Check out my Twitter at markmonlux.com, and you will find a link that I'll bring you into the show. I'm a freelance illustrator in Tacoma, Washington, and guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Bill Morse. I'm a illustrator and cartoonist out of Seattle, Washington, and I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies.
My name is Ian Castruita. You can find my stuff at unfedartist.com. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer, and a comic artist.
Cool.
We good to go, or?
Yeah, well, we're going.
Oh, okay. Lots of dead air. It's
I was in the
another great episode.
I don't know about you guys, but I was busy tweeting about the show and trying to get more people in. So
okay.
Matter of fact, I'm going to resend Russ another direct link since he has had an occasional problem, like so many of us, getting that. As I said before, if you're having problems getting into Epic Sketch Time or you want to participate, you can check out the information link below or contact me via my Twitter, which is at Mark Monlux. That's MarkMonlux.
So it's been a while since I've been on this. Have you guys got any crazy going on, or same old, or?
Oh, we've been getting some new people joining us. Russ is pretty much a regular anymore. And I know that he's home, so if he's not getting on, it's probably technical difficulties. So gave him a little bit of a project to do earlier, so that might also be distracting him. And let's see, we've had Locke on while you were gone, and Patrick's been a regular, though I don't think, are we going to see Patrick today?
No, we're not. We got tweets from both him and Locke today that saying they couldn't make it.
Ah, bummer. It must have been that they heard that Ian was coming.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Apparently, Locke has a 3D seminar of some sort.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you guys been working on?
Well, I've been beyond the getting my buffer on the comic strip ready. I just finished a Batman sketch challenge.
What's that all about?
That was me inflicting a sketch challenge on myself when I was doing it, and so each day for the month of April was a character from the Batman comic book, and I was doing it in my with the limitations of only using a thin black marker to make it more of a challenge. Well, partially because of the challenge and partially because I've been really liking the style that it's been forcing me to get into. So here's some of the samples of it right now.
Okay. Yeah, and I've seen some of this stuff on your Facebook feed. So.
Mm-hmm.
What marker is it that you're forcing yourself
to? It's one of the small Prismacolor pens that is a .08 point.
And what is it about the marker that you decided to do a whole series on it?
Well, it's something I've been doing. I started doing a couple of Inktober's ago, where I decided, since the whole point of the sketch challenge and doing it in ink was to challenge yourself, I decided to make it a little more difficult by limiting myself to just the single thin pen, which forced me to have a line and also not being able to block things out, and any coloring and shading you could do was through hatching, whether you liked it or not. And I started, as I said, I really liked the way it made things look, so I kept doing it.
Gentlemen, we have Russ on. Russ, introduce yourself to the viewing audience.
Hey everyone, I am Russ Richards, freelance illustrator based out of Washington.
Hi, Russ.
Hey, what's up, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Russ, I don't think you've met Ian. Ian, where on the East Coast are you again?
He's in Arizona.
Yeah, so very, very west East Coast is where I'm at.
Right on.
About as west as you can get on the East Coast.
Yeah. Very good.
And let's see. So what is everybody working on today?
Right now, I'm not working on anything. I've been playing with this new storyboard shareware that I recently got pointed towards, and sort of giving it the test run.
What's the name of it?
It's called Storyboarder. I can send everybody the link, though I wasn't sure. Would that be considering what you were telling me about links before, would this count as marketing, and should I post it or not?
Oh, I would go ahead and who's it marketing for again?
It's the link to the shareware that anybody can download.
Oh, I think you can go ahead and put that link to the shareware into the comments later on.
Okay, there it is. And I said at the moment, still figuring it out. Standard. I mean, apparently this the drawing. You can put notes on it, and I think I'll go back and play and working on a
quick question, guys. If you look at my screen, would you say that the alien Mac and Me has blue-green eyes or just kind of blue hazel eyes?
blue-green, I'd say, getting close to aquamarine.
Test.
I would say, yeah, like a greenish blue.
Yeah,
Heavy
I'll
blue.
greenish blue also.
Okay. Thank you for your assist.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, I'm working on Mac and Me today.
Have you guys ever seen Paul Rudd go on to Conan O'Brien?
No.
So when Paul Rudd, every time he goes on the Conan O'Brien show and he's promoting, whether he's promoting Ant-Man or whatever movie he's in, he literally shows a clip from Mac and Me. And it's always the clip with the kid falling off the cliff and the little Mac or whatever alien kid like popping up out of the bushes. And he shows that every time without fail. Like, it's hilarious. Anyways. The must see.
I'm getting some deja vu. I could swear that we've had this conversation.
We probably have.
Have you always been working on the Mac and Me character, Mark? Or
I was working on this last episode. It could be that.
And I wasn't here last episode. I haven't been here for a couple episodes.
It might have been back when I was cleaning it up. But you weren't here last time, were you, Russ?
No, I wasn't.
No, but this character has popped up a couple of times. I wish I could color these a lot faster. I'm hoping to get Mac here done today and then move on to, let's see, what's the next image on my queue for Obscure aliens.
Now, your obscure aliens, is this going to be another card deck, or?
This is another card deck.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Ah.
I didn't realize you were doing more cards.
Yeah, when I was doing the first card deck, let's see, should it? Oh, I'll show you how far I am along on I Married a Monster. Let's see. This coming up pretty well. Okay. Okay, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is a close up. Yeah, I was pretty happy how that one came out. Let's see, what's another one? The next one I'm doing after this is probably the Giant Claw. I don't think I've started coloring that one. Oh, here we go. Gotta show this one.
Oh, that's a different angle than the one that you have on.
This is Space Herpes from Ice Pirates.
Okay.
Awesome.
I was going to do the alien picking his nose in the there's a scene where they break in to another ship and it's through the bathroom and there's this poor alien sitting on the john and everyone's walking by him while he's trying to do his business. And he had been picking his nose with a huge alien booger when the door. Anyway, I always liked the look of that alien. He looked a lot like Squidward does on SpongeBob SquarePants. But James Stowe said that he would not speak to me again unless I did Space Herpes instead. So. And what are you working on today, Ian?
Just another strip for my site. I still have yet to launch the new version of my my webcomic site, but I keep on trying to work on these comics when I get a chance. It's been a crazy past month. I haven't really had a chance to do much of the stuff that I've been hoping to do. I can show you guys some interesting stuff, hopefully. Let me see. So I recently sent this out for approval to a client. Let me see, what's this? Dang it. So every year for Phoenix Comic Con, I help these guys from a local video game, independent video game development community. They're called Game Collab. They have a limited edition shirt that we produce together and we try to sell. Last year wasn't really selling like it should have, and so I ended up losing money on it. But this is my plan for this. How do you full view on Photoshop?
F or tab.
Tab out. There we go. So it's basically just a video or a VR station called the Omni treadmill or something, and they have them at the video game showcase, and so that's what I've been working on for this past couple of weeks. Hopefully it's all finalized, but it's been fun. I like these things, even though they're not big money makers for my business. It's just kind of stuff I want to do.
Right. No, I like that. That's cool. That's way neat.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the interesting challenges was to try to make the light really pop out, and so I kind of realized that I could use the color of the shirt as a third color, even though I'm only paying for the black and the white ink. So I kind of took advantage of doing all of that shading and everything with the color of the shirt, which is basically just empty space as far as like the art is concerned. But I think it works, so I'm pretty stoked about it.
I want to thank Russ for helping me out this weekend at there's a horror convention in Seattle, or rather in SeaTac, which is located halfway between Seattle and Tacoma, at the airport, thus SeaTac Airport, instead of, if you ever wondered why the Seattle airport is not called the Seattle Airport but SeaTac, it's because it's in a different city. Anyway, there was a horror convention there called Crypticon, and I hadn't done Crypticon for a number of years because they used to be on Labor Day weekend, which was a pain in the butt, and no one would ever show up. And but this time, it was done much better time, and Friday just killed it. I'm telling you, I had a great Friday, and if it wasn't for a really fantastic fan of mine coming in and giving me one big giant tip for doing a sketch on a Saturday, Friday would have been my biggest day, but as it was, Saturday turned out to be my biggest day, and Sunday was just kind of nice and relaxing. But in all, I did much better there than I had before. So the new date is definitely worthwhile. For those of you who feel like ever doing a horror convention in Seattle. There used to be a really good horror convention called ZombieCon, but that hasn't been around for a number of years. There was a conflict over the name, and the tedious legal lawsuits that the promoter didn't want to have to deal with pretty much nixed the event. But it was a superior horror convention. It really was.
We're kind of getting into convention season, aren't we?
Yeah.
Is there any big ones coming up that any of you guys are going to be attending that you want to tell everybody about?
One I've been curious about, though I'm still don't have enough details of whether it'll be useful or not. There's this one that's coming for the first time this year. I don't know if it's a case, if it's one of those ones where they're doing different cities each year, or if it's completely new, but it's called ACE and has a fairly good guest list, but I haven't seen anything as far as anything that would make it useful for me, because they haven't mentioned anything about artist tables or anything in any of their advertising.
It's $1,000 for an artist alley table.
$1,000 for artist alley table at ACE?
$1,000.
Where did you find that out? Did they finally post it on their website? Or?
No, I actually got a hold of the promoter.
Ooh.
And I was like, nope, I'm good.
That is really steep.
Yeah,
Way steep.
he looked cheap.
Yeah, for some reason I was underneath the impression it was by invitation only.
So originally, so I got a hold of them about maybe 2-3 months ago, because I found out they were coming and I wanted to, be part of the show. And they told me that their vendors and everybody was by invitation only. And then I found out another local artist, Jason Metcalf. I don't know if you know who Jason is.
Yes.
He posted that he got in. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, what's going on with that? And he says, oh, they finally opened up artist alley tables. I was like, oh, cool. So I emailed back the same person that I got a hold of, months ago. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've now opened up artist alley tables. It's $1,000. I was like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, well, we can work with your budget. And I was like, I'll give you $200. And they just are like, nope. I was like, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the company that runs that show?
Ace is the same. So the promoter that did Wizard World that got fired for basically embezzling money started Ace. So
so line up, everybody.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about it. It's also right right before a big convention out here in Washington, done by for the Puyallup Toy and Geek Fest. It's going to be a big show.
Yeah, I was part of the Toy and Geek Fest. It was really cheap table last year. It was a one-day show, but they did some really clever things. They knew who their target audience was. It was toy collectors, not comic book collectors, and so they charged extra for people to come in early. And because the people were coming to get that long lost toy that might be there. And once they came through the doors, and if they couldn't find that toy, they bought themselves a consolation prize at your table. And I just loved that. It was it's practically down the street from where I'm at. Puyallup is just over the hill from Tacoma. Russ lives in Puyallup.
Well, near it, the next city over, but close enough.
So you were at the show last year, weren't you?
I was. That was my very first show ever. Like, I had never done a show ever prior to it. So.
And you did pretty well.
I did really well. That was probably my best show last year. It was also at the end of August, and it was I was also in the far corner, like literally you couldn't get any farther and in the corner than where I was, and it still was a great show.
So this year they really enlarged it, and but the cost of tables went up significantly. Last year it was only like $35, and this year they went from half of a venue, they went to a larger building, and it's $200 for 2 days, which was had people kind of going, oh man, ouch. I would have, but they have it looks very promising.
So Ian, what's going on in your neck of the woods? Is there any pretty good cons coming around?
Well, just Phoenix Comic Fest.
Yeah.
That's end of May.
Okay.
And it's a pretty massive con. It actually reminds me a lot of San Diego now.
Oh, wow.
But I think William Shatner, Will Wheaton, a few of the Marvel movie actors are going to be there. I mean, growing up in Arizona, I remember when it was a smaller event, and it just seems to get larger every year. But it's not without its problems either. I've never exhibited there, but I know that it as far as like being an attendee, like a fan, there always seems to be something going on that just kind of makes it a little miserable. And you kind of wish that they would get it together. But last year, some guy came in like fully loaded, like tons of guns and everything. He got past security and he was trying to kill the guy who was the Green Power Ranger, like that actor.
Yeah.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened like on a Friday or something, and then after that they just completely like cordoned off entrance into the convention. And luckily I had an exhibitor badge because I was helping Game Collab out. So I could just go in through the exhibitor entrance, but the poor attendees were out like in 120-degree heat. I think a few people passed out, and the line was just like 2 hours to get in, even if you had a badge, because they had to do security checks. So now they have supposedly new security requirements, and everything's going to be streamlined, but we'll see. That the people who have full event passes have like this bracelet that you can put on, and it's basically unremovable, but it has an RFID badge on it. So they mailed this out to everybody, and I even posted on my Facebook, like if you look at their the Phoenix Comic Cons, like, hey everybody, don't put it on yet, wait till the con. like all the comments afterwards on Facebook are like, already did it. Oh, damn it. Already did it. Because it's unremovable, right? So you basically have to destroy it and like go back in line when the con starts because they're not going to mail you a new one. So it's just, it wasn't like super obvious either. Like there's nothing on the envelope or anything. It was just like a piece of paper that was stuck in there that was folded over. So you had to open it up after you already saw your badge. And it said, don't put this on yet, which, I mean, they might as well have just, like, when I shared it on Facebook, I said they might as well have just put a giant red button in an envelope and told people not to push it. It was pretty stupid. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I mean, it's always a fun con, especially if you're into cosplay. But as far as industry goes, like it seems to getting a little bit worse in my opinion. Like there's less industry stuff there, which is kind of depressing. Like it's just more fan stuff, which is fine, you know, especially if you're into, you know, your favorite actor or, you know, even your favorite comic artist or something. But there's not a lot of like specific, like, oh, here's how to break into the industry, or, you know, there used to be like web comic panels and stuff. And now it's just pretty much just all manga and anime and cosplay. And, you know, sign of the times. I haven't been to San Diego in years. Mainly just because it got so ridiculous that I had to wait like 3 hours in order to get into a panel, which meant that I had to miss like other panels that I wanted to watch. And it's like, at that point, I'm not going to drive over to San Diego just to do that. So,
yeah, I was going to say I've only done San Diego once, and probably it was the last decade where it would be fun comic mecca to go to.
Yeah, I remember loving San Diego. Like seeing Kevin Smith talk and everything was just like one of the highlights. And now, like, if you want to see Kevin Smith, I'm guessing you have to miss like, you know, 2 hours of panels because you need to wait in line. Otherwise, you're not going to get in. So yeah, that's kind of a shame. And I don't know if they're, you know, if they're better now or not. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been there. But
I'm told it's pretty much becoming media trade show and packed to the gills besides.
I could believe that.
Was it someone in this group that said as soon as Twilight hit, that was sort of like the beginning of the end?
So I used to go, like, because I grew up in California, so me and my friends, we'd always go all the time. And then I went, I started designing, I worked for a few studios out in Burbank and stuff like that. So I got in as a pro pass. So we would get to go all the time. It was like $80 to park like 10 blocks away from the actual convention center, and then we still had to pay for a bus and then pay like a shuttle and all. It was nuts just to get there. And then on top of that, like, they've pushed all the artists now. That used to be like you'd walk in and you'd have a good mix of artists and good mix of like everything going on, and it literally has just been like artists are shoved to the back. Like you almost have to walk through a lot to even get to them and even see where they are. Yeah, and Hall H is just nuts. Like you literally have to camp out overnight if you wanted to go see like the Marvel panel, or if you wanted to go see like anything like that. But it just seems like it, from my perspective, once they started introducing like Twilight and some of these other like movies into the thing, it all went downhill from there. Like, and last I heard, it was actually because of Lucas. Actually, when Phantom Menace came out, he rented out Hall H. That was the first time it was ever rented out. And then other studios realized, oh my goodness, you know, we can all do this. And that's kind of what I've heard is the beginning of the end of San Diego Comic-Con.
That's a shame.
But, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted Film Festival was just like where I saw some like Dr. Tran for the first time, and you know that was just like the place to go. And now again, it's like one of those things like you're lucky if you get in. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they realize that it should be for the fans and not just the industry. I mean, it's not like an E3 or something like that. So.
You know, we should have mentioned this to Justin when we saw him today, Russ. Justin is one of the guys helping out with the the Toy and Geek Fest. We should mention how much we liked that the artists and the regular vendors were all mixed up together.
Yeah, he's doing that this year. He's already on it. Yep.
Oh, great!
I've already had that discussion with him.
Because I remember him saying that he was getting close to locking everything in.
Yeah. So if you're interested in exhibiting this Friday at 5, the door closes for any and all that want to exhibit for the Puyallup Toy Fest.
Actually, it's now the Pierce County Toy and Geek Fest.
Yes, that's right. Pierce County.
Because those people from out of state, they don't know how pitifully small Puyallup is. But
nope.
Pierce County,
I only know about Puyallup from the fair, so it's...
Yeah, and they stopped calling it the Puyallup Fair, too. It's now the Washington State Fairgrounds, I loved it when they called it the Puyallup Fair. It had brand recognition because it's been the Puyallup Fair since forever.
Yeah, because I always assumed a place the size of Washington that while Puyallup was pretty darn impressive, I would be sincerely surprised that there wouldn't be about a dozen other ones that were quite even bigger.
The Western Washington Fairgrounds is pretty good, but it's not as big as the Puyallup Fairgrounds. Mm-hmm. Puyallup managed to take their fairgrounds area and do nearly year-long events at it, everything from concerts to gun shows, whereas other fairgrounds tend to just stick to being fairgrounds. Let's see. Russ and I were going to be going in a couple. When is Lilac? Lilac is held at the Puyallup in Spokane, Washington. There is a Spokane comic book show, but Lilac started up first, but they didn't grab the name Spokane, and thus when the Spokane comic book show started, they had to switch their name over to Lilac. And yeah,
that's June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-day show.
Yes.
So
we are carpooling it up.
Mm-hmm.
I also somehow got into Denver this year.
Congrats.
I'll be doing Denver as well.
I did Denver 2 years in a row. When is Denver happening?
Denver is not the next weekend after Lilac, but the following weekend, so 2 weeks after Lilac. So let's see. I'll tell you right now.
It's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
What's the draw of Denver? I'm guessing it's a big city. So
Denver's a big city. It's a 2-day show. It's
a 3-day. It's 15th through 17th.
It's a 3-day show now.
Yeah, from Friday. Friday to Sunday.
They grew rapidly. It was the first time I did Denver, I sold out of my posters the first day. I sold out of my books my second day, and I was down to like 3 4X T-shirts on the last day. I should have brought way more stuff. And then I did it the next year and had another good year.
So the fans are just like ravenous for merchandise. I mean,
it was a good, energetic show. The tables were spaced at perfect distance apart. The flow was done perfectly. They had people moving in and out was perfect. They had a nice area outside where people could cool down. It was really hot outside, so being inside it where it was air conditioned was fantastic. Also, the convention center there is located about 2 blocks away. There's a tram that runs up and down this about a 2-mile stretch that's nothing but restaurants and hotels. So getting to and back from the convention from a variety of places was fairly affordable because you didn't have to do parking right there. You could park someplace else, take that tram in, walk over, and boom. So, not that people, I mean, all the local parking was used up, but no, it's a really good venue. They were running it well. It was a nice tight ship, and you know when it's a nice tight ship and things are planned out right, it just works. And I don't think I know anyone who's gone to Denver and didn't like the experience.
That's the first time I've actually heard of Denver. I mean, for me, it's always been San Diego, New York, and Seattle, and all the PAX conventions. But I don't think they take like artists and stuff. So,
is Denver affiliated with Mile High Comics, or is it just coincidence that they're in the same town?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I did Wizard World a couple weeks back. And the guy that was boothing next to me, he didn't get into Denver this year. And he said that he is still going to show up to Denver with $2,000 and go up to the showrunner and just be like, here's $2,000. I want a booth.
Wow. Does that work?
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
You get people who cancel at the very last minute, and they're supposed to be calling people on the wait list. But honestly, if you're there waiting, I can't see how they would ignore you.
Right. Especially like he literally says he's going to hand the guy $2,000.
Has he done this before?
I have no idea, but I don't doubt him. The guy was, needless to say, the guy was very interesting, and yeah, I don't doubt it that he has either done it before or has made it work for him in the past. So and what's funny too is like, so I have a lot of artist friends that I follow like on Instagram and some that are just famous artists that I follow, and they'll do like Instagram stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he will be hanging out with them at like restaurants and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Dave. I just met this guy. And he's like at the restaurant eating, lunch or dinner with these guys that, anyways, yeah, like famous artists. It was crazy. So he's obviously well known in the community enough that he makes a name for himself.
Oh, and there's
like pay in to hang out with these people though. I mean, like
no, like he's just very, very outgoing and very loud. Like I don't know how else I could describe the guy. He's just very. He wears the same clothes. He was wearing the same clothes, same T-shirt that he wore when I met him in Portland, and he was doing. I think it was like. Jeez, I don't even remember what the convention I just watched that he was at. He was either at like one of the ones in Austin or something like that, and he was with this like Scotty Young, hanging out with him and going out to dinner and in the same taxi cab as him, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
To give you an idea how much the local downtown area of Denver loves the comic book convention, there's a couple of restaurants that if you have a vendor's pass, an artist alley pass, you can get a free burger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we're not talking, this is just a small place. This is one of the classy bistro bars. And so, yeah, they love the comic book. I mean, at least when I was doing it, which wasn't that long ago.
Dude, you need to hook me up with the names of these places. I want a free burger.
I will ask my wife where we got the free burger at.
Right on.
It was a free meal. And we were both going, wow. That's awful nice. Now I might be going to Denver, but I have a relative who's in hospice there right now.
Oh, my condolences.
Anyway, but who knows when that might occur.
Well, you're welcome to tag along with me if you want to cruise and we'll be driving.
Yeah, thanks. I've driven that twice now.
Yeah.
And that's a long drive, let me tell you.
Yeah. I have some family in Salt Lake, so I'm gonna stop in Salt Lake.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and then my best bud is gonna meet me there, and then he's gonna come up with me the rest of the way.
Yeah, my wife and I, we stopped in Idaho. That's about as far as was our halfway point.
Okay.
And then we had relatives in Denver, but we didn't want to impose on them, so we just hit the hotel room. Plus, you know, if you have a hotel room, then you don't have to worry about hanging out with your relatives.
True story.
Say, sorry, gotta go, gotta prep for the show. Yeah, the second year we went to town and we didn't really hang out with the family, and they got cheesed off at us. So, I mean, we hung out with my wife's sister and her mother and one of the uncles and aunts, but because we didn't do it with all the uncles and aunts and do a big family gathering thing, they were a little miffed with us.
Yeah, I've only been to Colorado once. It was as part of this big Western tour my family did one summer, and my father had a colleague who did research up there.
My first time to the Grand Canyon was in 1976.
Oh.
It was part of a Imagine caravan of vans filled with Boy Scouts. There's a in New Mexico called Cinerama. It's the largest Boy Scout camp in the U.S.
My experience, it was a case of my dad had a seminar in Salt Lake City, and the cheapest way to go west that summer was something called the Jackpot Express in Las Vegas, and so we took the extremely long route to Salt Lake City, stopping at just about every single national park you can think of.
Oh, so you got a chance to see Zion and Arches and all those others?
Zion, Arches, and Bryce, yes. Had a great time in Bryce, in Zion. The campsite we were in was right next to this orchard of cherry trees, and you couldn't get my sister and I out of there, down from those trees, for almost an hour.
Yeah, both Bryce and Zion are beautiful. Like, I love those parks.
My wife and I went to Yellowstone one time when we were doing a driving around vacation. So we get there kind of late. We set up, so we're setting up, and we're really tired and we're really achy because we've been driving in the car all day, and they'd have these gravel beds that you set your tent up on, crushed gravel. So it's kind of hard, but you can make do. But there was a full moon that night, and what we didn't realize, it was elk rutting season. So all night long, and then you'd wait a little while just as you're dropping off to sleep.
Oh, I have two. When I went,
that'd be my ringtone.
Yeah, I know. We need to copy that.
During that Western trip I mentioned, it was technically, even though it was May, it was technically still winter in Yellowstone, and I have vivid memories of just falling down constantly on the boardwalk in Mammoth Hot Springs, which were absolutely shellacked. I had an even worse experience when I was going by Yellowstone when I was first coming out here, which I had done as sort of this Find America trip that I was taking my own sweet time about. And so I'm finally getting to Yellowstone and looking forward to seeing it on my own, only to discover that technically it was still winter in Yellowstone, and it was completely and 4 of the main entrances were closed. Mm-hmm. And when a park that is 3 times the size of your home state is closed, that is one heck of an obstacle.
When my wife and I woke up the next morning, deep rings underneath our eyes. And we're breaking down the tent now because we got more driving to do. We got, check out the Yellowstone, which you do by car because, like you say, it's big. The squirrels in the tree were yelling and screaming at us and pelting us with nuts. So you'd be going, ow, 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 God damn. And that was, my wife looked at me and says, next time a hotel, because we went and had breakfast at the lodge, and the lodge looked pretty and quiet. And we had talked about maybe staying at the lodge. And I thought, no, let's go. How can you go to Yellowstone and not camp underneath the trees and enjoy the great outdoors? And my wife just gives me a stink eye the next morning. She says, next time, the lodge. So
has there ever been a next time?
We have not gone camping since that horrible experience.
Oh no!
What?
So I think Mac and me came out pretty good here. I'm just going to knock back this tint of the white. There we go. That looks fairly good. And on to the next obscure movie monster. This time, I think I'm going to save coloring the backgrounds until last and use sort of like different backgrounds for different suits. Or at least give that a shot. I didn't do that the first time. Let's see if that's my next monster. What are you working on, Russ? Some sort of car for
so I got a commission piece on this last Saturday from Free Comic Book Day, and this guy, he's doing it for a birthday present for his kid, and the kid loves the Flash and he loves Porsches, so he wanted a Porsche 911. I guess it's a 930. I don't know what year. Let's see. I think I wrote it down. But yeah, so, and I paint on the glass, or I do the acetate thing, so I have the animation cells. So he's asked me if I could do that with the Flash in the car and then the background. So I'm going to try to do it. I'm trying to do it so that I can put the Flash on one animation cell, the Porsche on another animation cell, and then have the background. So it's 3 deep layered. At least that's the plan. So we'll see if it works out. Yeah, it's a Porsche 911 Carrera 930 75, 78, somewhere around there is the year that I guess the kid just absolutely loves. Which is crazy. The kid's like 12 and he already, you can tell you everything about Porsches. So, cool. Yeah.
That kind of obsession is actually quite fascinating when they're very much become self-taught experts.
Yeah.
I'd like you guys to look at my screen. So here is
absolutely not. Okay, fine.
Island Earth alien, and this is my purple layer. Do you think I should leave it at 100%, or should I knock it down to about 50? So here it is at 50, and here it is at 100.
I think I like the 50.
Yeah, the 50.
Okay, now my next question, should I knock it down even weaker? Here it is at, say, 40. And then this is it at 50.
Definitely 50. It almost starts to get too muddy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I felt like I was in the optometrist chair. It's like, is it number 1 or number 2? Number
Right.
1, number 2. Can I see number 1? Here's number 1, and here's number 2. It's like they all do that.
Yeah, they all do. I went to a guy once, and it was like Lens Crafters of all the places. And this guy, I guess he's like world renowned, known like how good he is with eyes. And I sat down, and he didn't do any of that. He literally could watch like my pupils and how they dilated and everything. And he set it all up. Didn't do the 1-1 number. He didn't do any of that. Set it all up. Did it all. And then was like, here you go. And it was the best set of glasses I've ever had. And I asked the lady, like, I was leaving, I was like, wow, he was like really good. She's like, yeah, people fly in from all over the world just to see him. And he's retired, but he does this part-time. And I was like, how did I get him? And she's like, you just happened to call on a good day. I was like, oh my goodness. Anyways.
He works at Lens Crafters?
Yeah, he looks like he's retired now. And and this is when I was living in California, but yeah, he just works at Lens Crafters now. And people still fly in from like she was even telling me like the next person that came in after me like flew in from New York just to get him to do his eyes. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I was like, how did I get so lucky? Anyways, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's an insane story.
Yeah. And I mean, this had to have been like 10 years ago now, but
Oh, so
yeah.
I was dead.
Oh yeah, he probably is. But legit, like I sat down, he didn't do because I've had glasses my whole life, and usually get the whole 1, 2, which one, and goes through the whole thing. And this guy just sat me down, sat there and just stared at my eyes and just kept flipping back and forth, kept doing it, didn't really say much. And he's like, how does that look? And I was like, yeah, it's a little bit blurry. And he's like, okay, that's what I thought. And then he did a couple adjustments, and then boom, he had my prescription. And it was the fastest in and out I've ever been, and it was the best set of glasses I've ever had.
He's like the optics whisperer or something.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I've never had glasses that good ever in my entire life.
It's such a mundane topic, but it's very awesome at the same time.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Only people that wear glasses will understand.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I'm beginning to get used to that myself. I'm finally reluctantly discovered I need reading glasses for anything smaller than 12 point. And while the cheap pieces of crap I get from Daiso Japan do the trick, I'm quickly discovering that probably I want something a little bit better.
Instead of getting the ones that, like you were saying, or you find at Walgreens.
These are even cheaper than the ones at Walgreens.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
As I said, Daiso Japan.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if there's any of those in Phoenix, but it's essentially the Japanese 5 and dime store. But extremely convenient. I get all my Tupperware there, but at the same time,
it is the same place you get your eyeglasses.
That I get my reading glasses.
It's like that. Oh,
Bill, I want you to put on those reading glasses and show us them. Right?
Yeah, he's totally
stylings.
It's like what's it called? If you guys ever watch Parks and Rec, like Ron Swanson, he only shops at food and stuff because he can pick up his motor oil and his milk all in the same place. If Ron Swanson
lived in Seattle, he'd be going to Daiso Japan.
Yep.
These are
yes,
stories.
Say something, Bill, so we can see the glasses.
Bill. So yeah, here they are. They're not as bad as they could be, but it's still. You get what you pay for $1.50.
What is that pattern on the side of them?
Yeah, let's see that pattern.
Did you have a coupon, Bill?
Didn't need one. They were $1.50.
Dude, I think those are girls' glasses, bro.
Not like I'm wearing them.
The little cancer ribbons kind of give it away, Bill. It's nice to know that you care, but
that just shows how good his vision is. He can't tell they're women's glasses. These are pretty good.
We're not making fun, Bill. We
Hey,
got enough with you.
Making fun.
$1.50, okay?
I think it was 150, and you were like, "Ooh, expensive."
Scottish, I'm entitled.
Yes, this is true.
Oh, the feed must be going crazy. It's like video jumping back and forth between all of us.
So, has everyone here seen Infinity Wars?
No, I'm probably going to see it on Wednesday.
Saw it on opening weekend. It's one of the masses.
I generally, as I think I've told you all before, the friend I normally see all my genre stuff with has serious crowd issues, so we generally wait until the matinees start getting quiet.
Yeah. Well, that thing's blockbuster to the nth degree, right? Like it's breaking records left and right. And
I heard. I mean, it was rather funny. I was reading. There was this preacher who was getting very offended by its success, saying it encourages polytheism.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, we're all gonna start worshiping Thor now. So that's how that works.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's because he's so buff.
Well, yeah. How can you not worship him?
All right.
So I mean, what's remarkable is Black Panther came out this year too, right? So I mean, Disney just must be like doing the Scrooge McDuck jump into money right now.
Yeah.
I haven't taken a look at my. I got stock in Disney. I haven't taken a look at it lately, but my portfolio's been pretty good this last year.
Yeah, I'd love to buy some Disney stock right now.
Yeah, and they just announced the park too. The Marvel Land. They're closing down Bugs Life. Like Bugs Life is going away.
And they got the Star Wars park.
Yeah, opening up next year, from what I understand.
Star Wars. What's everybody's opinion on Solo?
I have my ticket for that.
Nice.
Opening weekend.
I'm
Actually,
not sure.
You guys know Alamo Drafthouse? It's like a dine-in movie theater.
No, but there's a one like that out here. Not the Rebar. And now I'm forgetting what it's called.
Oh yes, look at that stock go. Okay, I bought Disney stock when it was at 27. It's at 102 right now.
Nice.
Jeez,
So that place, it's kind of like, is it like it's like a couch? You get a couch or table seating. You can watch a movie and eat some food and drink a beer. Like, is that kind of what it is?
Pretty much. It's sort of
people
more restaurant, more fancy restaurant-y, but yeah. Oh, Cinnabar. That's what it's called. Cinnabar.
Oh, right on.
Huh. Well, Alamo Drafthouse, I mean, it's a Texas chain, but it's kind of like well known for kicking people out of the theater if they check their phones and stuff.
Oh, shit.
So they, I think they actually run a tape of some woman who got kicked out, like just complaining to the manager, and so that's their opening reel now to tell everybody, don't even try it, we're going to kick you out. So
yeah, I've never been to Cinnabar. I've never, for all the good things I've heard about Cinnabar, I've never actually gone because I mean, while I have no problem with seeing movies by myself, going to a restaurant to see a movie on my own, it sounds and feels really pathetic.
Well, the cool thing about Alamo Drafthouse is they do a lot of like indie films, which I thought you guys would probably dig. Actually, let me look that up. So they just opened one by my house, and that's where I'm going to see Solo, which is why I brought it up. But yeah, I'll stop talking so somebody else can, and I'll do my research to tell you what movies.
Yeah. Well, speaking of indie films, everybody seen Isle of Dogs yet?
No, I hear it's good though. I hear it's really
very
good.
good.
And that's remind me of the director again.
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson, yes. I love his work. Like, phenomenal stuff.
If you guys are ever in Cedar Rapids has a second-run movie house that I absolutely love because you can go in there and you can buy a chicken dinner, some pizza, I'm not sure whether or not they've got hamburgers and hot dogs. It's not just it's a family outing going to this place, taking in. I love, grabbing a chicken dinner, taking the chicken dinner in with you into the movie, watching the movie. Where else can you do that?
There's a couple theater chains in Salt Lake when I grew up there that you could do stuff like that. There was one called Broovies, and actually got pretty famous because I guess they got in trouble for I guess when Deadpool came out, they hadn't got their liquor license yet, and they actually showed Deadpool and was still serving alcohol. And I guess they got fined. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds found out about it and paid the fine for them.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting.
So, Bill, Mark, you guys are the gurus of the obscure.
I don't know. Russ is pretty. Russ.
I'm nowhere near like Mark's, but I'm up there.
Okay, so just a shout out to my hometown. I live in Tempe, and Alamo Drafthouse is doing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure for the full week, which was actually shot in Tempe. So that's super cool that they recognize that. But they have a series called Video Vortex. The first film's called Tammy and the T-Rex. Have you heard of it?
Ooh,
I have not heard of Tammy and the T-Rex.
So here's the description. Tammy, Denise Richards, and Michael, Paul Walker, are in love. When Michael is mauled by lions because of a trap set by Tammy's ex-boyfriend, their love affair continues after Michael's brain is transplanted into a robotic T-Rex.
Yeah, for a second, I thought I might have seen the cover where it had the picture of the T-Rex that was sort of looked like a cheap version of Henson's Dinosaurs in a varsity jacket.
Oh, I don't see that, but
isn't that the one with?
This is the type of film where I could expect that, though. I mean,
that is the one with
Whoopi Goldberg, right?
And it's called Theodore Rex.
Okay.
And it's abysmally awful. The dance sequence is what really sank it for me.
Okay, here's another one. Secret Agent 00 Soul. Have you heard of it?
No.
I have not heard of it.
Soul is in funky or soul is in ghost?
Soul is in funky. This is the greatest and only movie ever made by Billy D. Williams' stunt double in Return of the Jedi. After making history with his role as Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's Batman, Billy D. Williams made history again by starring as Secret Agent 00 Soul in Secret Agent 00 Soul. So Billy D. Williams, like, I guess that's a nod to the Solo movie coming out. Got Lando, but yeah, I'm digging it. I like the fact that a place like this is opening up nearby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sounds like Phoenix is becoming a happening town.
Well, you might not know this, but I think like a magazine voted Phoenix is the best place for pizza in the country, which is
wow.
Yeah. Like how?
As a Yankee, I can't accept that.
I knew that would upset somebody. Nope, not doing it. No.
I just watched the trailer for Tammy and the T-Rex, and I feel like this is a must-see.
Oh, really?
Like, it's so bad. It's literally an animatronic T-Rex, the kind that, when you bring your kids to go to, like, I don't know, one of those fairs that has dinosaurs or the zoo that has dinosaurs. That's all it is. It never changes position. It always looks the same.
So
It's
one
awesome.
that Ken Ham would commission.
Right, yes. And come on, it's got Paul Walker and Denise Richards. Yeah, this is awesome.
Gentlemen, it has been a very pleasurable hour, but it is time to call Epic Sketch Time to a close. I want to thank you all for joining me today, especially since I didn't put out very much notice. I had no idea whether or not I'd be able to make it today, so no notice yesterday. But it was great to see all for everyone here. Look for this YouTube link later on. If you can, share it with your friends.
Okay, y'all have a good one.
Will do.
Take care.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Russ, there we go. Oh, hang on. I got to stop broadcasting so
No
we can
worries.
have a conversation.